person. Some districts, you can earn up, I think Denver may have up to a $10,000 scale. Little Rock, I think they also had up to $10,000. But, you know, so when we're talking about the vast majority, when we're talking, these bonuses aren't sizable. They're not Wall Street-esque. You know, they're not $250,000 or $100,000. They're very, I consider quite small. So, but keep that in mind. And in many of the models, there's also a buy-in either the state or a grant comes in, as Mrs. Polish just pointed out, that talks about, yes, we'll give you X dollars, but after a period of time, those dollars come away and the district is left trying to sustain it. Hillsborough County, Florida, is an example. And we're talking districts that are the size of Rhode Island and then some. You know, but that doesn't mean you couldn't scale down, but you got to keep that in mind when we talk about bonuses, what we're actually talking about. I think some folks may misconstrue that as they're going to get $50,000 or $25,000. The bonuses, for the most part, that I've been seeing aren't that large. You know, so keep that in the context of any discussion.
Well, there are many different ways of funding it. One of this, obviously, if this is a grant, then obviously this is not going to be built into someone's salary. It's going to be a bonus. But for example, in the system in which I work, or if you look at how U.S. government does it, if you're a government employee, well, this is built into your salary. If you got this $1,000 merit pay increase this year, you get it for the rest of your life. This is part of built into your salary.
Well, that's what these models are saying.
Some of them, yes.
Most of these models have that, and they're saying the sustainability is a question. Even with the money that's coming in right now, is how are they going to sustain it? Because it becomes then part of that person's salary. So let's say a person earned over the course of 5 years an extra $10,000 in bonuses. That's part of that person's salary that the district is responsible to pay moving forward. So once that money goes away, that's now on your books, you know, to pick up as a district. It's not something you can say, okay, well, you earned $10,000 because it was grant money, now we're going to take it away from you.
You're already in this situation right now. Because if we are going to give a teacher a step increase, the step increase...
But we don't take it back.
That's correct. So if you give someone, let us assume, that's not a proposal, but let us assume that there's zero increase to teacher salary right now. Mm-hmm. The only thing, now we have 3%. 1% no conditions.
Right. I'm just saying that in the models,
the second
but
percent
that's
is
based on the fact,
stays.
yes, but that's based on the assumption that there will be raises in the future, which hopefully there will be for all of us, self-included, and that you can parse that out in that fashion. I'm not saying it can't be done that way,
yeah. But
that also becomes part of, in that model as well, part of the obligation for the community, whether it be Tiverton or
Absolutely.
you know, Town X.
Absolutely.
And I'm just saying to the committee that as you move forward, you need to realize that there will be a commitment
sure.
to pay for whatever goes out, even if the money comes in at the beginning. You still have to realize you're going to be on the hook, so to speak, for it down the road. And just to keep that in mind, and again, my original point, the bonuses are very small. We're not talking large money. The reason why it's so much money, because it's scale. You're talking Dallas County, Texas. It's the size of New England, I believe. I mean, so you have quite a bit of, you know, Denver, Colorado. I mean, the scope is significantly larger, so the dollars are, you know, through the roof. But
can I ask clarification? I know I'm not sitting over there. George, over there, right?
If you don't mind, this is just clarification.
Yeah, just I want to understand what you said. You're saying it's a bonus, but
That's
then
correct.
it stays on their salary.
yes,
year after year?
in all the structures that I've read, it stays with the teacher.
So it's not really a bonus; it's an increase. Kind of.
It's an increase. It's a way to earn more money. That gets built into your salary. That's from what I've read. I mean, there might be other models that don't do that.
Okay.
Because you can in Denver, for example, in the model, they use a model of $33,000. That person's just not going to make $33,000 forever. They have a 4-step process in which they can earn over $12,000 in a given year. And I would assume that person is going to go up the ladder. And that's one of the problems with when you read these things. You have to go further into it. How does it work? In other words, did everyone at some point in time in Denver, did the clock stop and then say, moving forward, this new bonus structure is going to come into effect. And then you move forward from there. I haven't been able to dig that far down in any of them as to, I would assume it had to, because you have to have a start and stop point for your salaries, and then you build on your benefits. I can't imagine they're going to take the bonuses away. Either if they do, then they're going to go away, but I can't imagine teachers, again, I don't have the answer, but I'm going to assume that it's built in, that it stays with them. Because why else would they go for that?
Excuse me, but that's why the Wall Street Journal said that the Denver Public Schools pay for performance was supposed to be a model for the country and now stands at the edge of collapse after months of contract negotiations. That is stalemate. So that's what happened.
And the point is, there's a good point. There's a lot that goes into these things that we're just touching on the surface in this discussion.
Yeah, when you start drilling down. Go ahead, sorry.
Thank you for being patient.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Ann Parker. I live at 67 William Barton Drive. I'm a retired choral music teacher. I had an extremely rewarding 26-year career as a music educator and had the very good fortune to have taught in 3 of the best public school systems in the nation. I taught 21 years in Virginia Beach City Public Schools, 2.5 years in Fairfax County Public Schools, and I was a substitute teacher for 2.5 years in Cheyenne Mountain District 12 of Colorado Springs. So I have lots of experience as a teacher. I'm an enthusiastic supporter of public schools, not only because I had a wonderful, fulfilling career, but because of the terrific education our son received. He went to public schools his entire education, even when we lived in Los Angeles for a year, where the schools are considered sketchy at best. In Los Angeles, he had 2 outstanding teachers who really made a difference, and he thrived in the public school environment. He's now a grad student at Ohio State University, serving an internship in Shanghai, China. I often wished for merit pay during my career. On 5 separate occasions, I was considered for Teacher of the Year in my school, this out of a faculty of 140, and I was nominated for the Virginia Music Educator of the Year in 1993. I worked hard. My students consistently achieved excellent and superior ratings at festivals, and I always had a large number of students selected for district choir, all-state choir, and Virginia Honors Choir. My students performed as many as 30 concerts during the holiday season. I directed the school musical every year and was very active as an officer and committee chairman in the Virginia Music Educators Association. My choirs performed at community meetings and functions throughout the year, and parents would practice and perform with us on a concert once a year. I achieved success, but it took a lot of work. Did I wish to be compensated monetarily for my hard work and success? Of course. In fact, I often wondered why everyone didn't want to be compensated for hard work. But then I quickly realized the ones who fought against it were, in my opinion, not top teachers, but those who were comfortable with the status quo and not anxious to extend themselves to improve their classroom environment and the students' overall learning experience. I know as well as anyone what the arguments are against merit pay, questions of fairness. How do you deal with teachers who don't teach the core academics? I mean, I didn't, I taught music. And what about the administrator who came up through the ranks as a coach, but who has no concept of what it takes, for example, to put together a great halftime show while dealing with band parents and raising megabucks for the spring trip, and who, by the way, is now doing your evaluation? And simply put, what if your students just aren't as bright this year as they were last year? None of these issues is insoluble, however. And I strongly believe that these and other issues can be addressed so that outstanding teachers here in Tiverton can be rewarded. It's my sincere hope that you will begin to work towards a merit pay system for Tiverton schools, and if you are going to ask community members to serve on the committee, I offer my time and experience.
Thank you very much.